Well, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. You know, today I'm going to talk about something that's kind of near and dear to my heart, and it's something that I think you can relate to, some of you out there. So it's a special message to you. I hope you take it the right way. It's not meant to be critical, but it's just meant to be just another option for some of you cruiser riders out there. So follow along with me on my little ride. We're going to go to Bald Peak again. I'm going to break out some coffee, and we're going to talk a little bit, and just a beautiful day for a ride. So anyway, follow along. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Well, I hope my microphone comes out a little bit clearer this time. I think I had a little bit too much wind resistance last time, but I think I have it set in a little bit better position now. There's Chehalem Mountain, just beautiful. And I just love this ride. This is a great ride. These back roads are just marvelous. I hope they stay around for a while. We're going to go through some farmland, some orchards, and we're on the edge of town right here. Well, it looks like they decided to do some new chip seal on the road on North Valley Highway there. So I'm going to take a little bit different way to Bald Peak. I think I remember the way going this way, but we shall see. Another nice ride. This is all out in the same general area, so I don't know. I don't think there's a way you can go wrong. So what I want to talk about today has to do with cruiser riders. You know, we're all part of the same big family, motorcycle riders, but there's all kinds of niches. You know, you got your speed bikes, you got your adventure bikes, you got your cruisers, you got your you know, you name it. There are just so many different offshoots of this, and more power to you. Whatever style you like, I think it's great. But ultimately, I think we're all part of one great big huge family. What I want to target today, just saw a video not too long ago where one of the guys on his video was making the point that he thinks the motorcycle family is shrinking. And you know, in a way it is. I don't see as many motorcycle riders out there as I used to. I used to be a cruiser rider for years and years and years. I just loved them. I've had Harleys, I've had Yamahas, I've had Hondas, Suzukis, all cruisers, and had a lot of fun. They're great bikes, but they are limited. I'm going to tell you a story. A few years back, my son was getting into motorcycle riding and cruisers and stuff like that, but then he wanted to go look at a Kawasaki KLR 650, and I thought, wow. So I started looking them up online, and I said, wow, that's one ugly looking bike. That was my first impression. I think they're awesome looking now, by the way, but you know, it's just a different style. They have a higher ground clearance. You know, they're just a thumper. They're a single cylinder. They've got a lot of torque, but they don't go very fast on the highway. But you can pack a ton, an absolute ton of stuff on there, which is nice when you're going camping. So we went out and looked at it, and I took it for a ride, and you know, I just offered my comments. I said, well, nothing mechanically wrong. I really don't know much about them. They're water cooled, and they look like solid bikes. And then, you know, reading about them on the internet, they seem to be just kind of like tanks. They last forever. They'll go anywhere, do anything. They do everything sort of, but they don't do specifically well. They're not the fastest, they're not the best handling, but they do have a 6-gallon gas tank, and you can go darn near 300 miles on a tank of gas with those things. So anyway, he ended up buying the bike, and then he wanted to go camping. So we went camping, and you know, he talked me into it. I just wasn't a real fan of motorcycle camping at the time, but I said, okay, let's just go. And he was persistent. Sure was fun though. We had just a blast, and it gave me a whole new perspective of motorcycle riding. And at the same time, I was kind of getting disillusioned with the cruiser market. You know, I would go to these rallies, and you know, I just never thought that I fit in. You know, I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but it's just the funniest thing. You know, I do like cruisers. I like some of the people out there. They say you meet some of the nicest people on a motorcycle, and that's true. But boy, I'll be darned if some of these rallies I went to, I just didn't fit in. You know, I talk to the guys, and you know, they're single, divorced, and they're complaining about their wives, complaining about their kids, and you know, their tattoos all over the place, and you know, they just weren't my kind of crowd. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. It's their life. They chose their life, and they do what makes them happy. But it just wasn't my cup of tea. But once I started into the you know, the adventure crowd, I started meeting some bikers of different makes, different makes and models. And I was just really surprised that, wow, this is different, and this might have been what I've been looking for all along. So it seemed to be a nice niche for me. I kind of fell into my niche, and I've been doing it ever since. So, and hence my YouTube channel. You know, I don't know that it's adventure bikes are as popular as cruisers. It's not for me to say. But my message to you, if you're a cruiser rider and you find yourself not riding as much anymore, and you just wonder why, you just you don't feel like it's just doing it for you, maybe you want to give adventure bikes a chance. You know, it doesn't mean that you have to go on a BDR. You don't have to go all these back dirt roads and get stuck and drop your bike and break things off. It doesn't mean that. It means all kinds of things to different people, but for me, it just means you're on an adventure and you're not limited by the road that you go on. Yeah, this is kind of a back way to Bald Peak. This is Bald Peak Road, and I think this is the way we came last time. I do have a stop sign here. Look at that view. Isn't that awesome? That's just awesome. That's why I have my camera down here. Anyway, we'll get turned back around here. Okay, so I do like the fact that they're keeping up the roads. This road doesn't look too bad, like it really needs anything. It looks pretty good shape to me. But I don't know, who knows? Some of the other roads might need a little bit. Well, we shall see. Okay, so, you know, this is not to bash cruisers. If you're a cruiser rider, Harleys, and you like those big cruisers, and you like to go on those bike rallies, Sturgis and all that, more power to you. You know, I could see the benefit. It's a lot of fun. You know, I've been there and done that. So I can see the draw. It is a lot of fun. There's a lot of camaraderie. You know, there's nothing like being in a large group and taking off and just hearing that rumble. You know, there really is strength in numbers. So, I don't know. I'm going to get to my destination, and then we're going to talk a bit more. Hey everybody. Well, I made it. I made it here. So we got some coffee. I decided to make it at home first instead of making it out here. Tastes the same. Got one of my favorite mugs. 8th Creek. Go 8th Creek. It's good. What a beautiful day. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit more about some of the advantages of being in a cruiser group. You know, the group rides. Have you ever been on one of those big group rides? It's kind of fun. You know, there's just something about hearing all the rumble of all those engines just taking off all together. And if you've got good road captains and they know what they're doing, you can seize the intersections and just take off and stay together. That's the main thing, is trying to stay together. Could be a lot of fun. There's a lot of good things to be said for that. The rallies, you know, Sturgis. I've been to Sturgis before. I know what it's like there. So if that's your thing, if you like all that kind of thing, then you know, it's your life. It's freedom. Just go for it. Might not be everybody's cup of tea though. Freedom of the road. You know, when you're on the road, either by yourself or a small group or a large group, it's just fun to see that road just stretch out before you and to look at that road just disappear in your rear view mirror. It's a lot of fun. Freedom of the road. And then of course, the big one, the one that everybody don't like talking about, but they really feel deep inside, is you want to look cool, you want to sound cool, you want to be cool. And I gotta tell you, there's not many things cooler than a good sounding cruiser just going down the road. You gotta admit. All right, so what about these weird adventure bike riders? You know, if some of them think there's a real distinct line, and a lot of cruisers just don't get along with the adventure styles and vice versa. And you know, really, we're all one big happy family. We're all two wheels. It doesn't matter what you ride, but that's your ride. That's my point of view. So what about group rides? Well, group rides for adventure riders are a little different. You're more apt to be off on some dirt road or some back road somewhere, adventure ride, and you're not riding shoulder to shoulder or even staggered. You're riding single file, and you've got about a good maybe 50 to 100 yards between each bike. And that's not because you don't know how to ride, it's because you don't want to inhale dust from the guy in front of you. You don't want to catch their gravel, you don't want to inhale their dust, and it's just not fun that way. I've been there. I've been behind bikes that have a lot of dust, and you just don't like it. So that's a group ride for an adventure rider. And the rallies are a little different too. They have different competitions. And it's more about handling the bike, going slow, keeping it upright. They have slow races. You know, the people are different. And I don't think if you go to these rallies, you're going to find that they're leaning toward any one particular bike. And that was my next point. Cruisers, I mean, there is that overwhelming desire to be part of the Harley group. Yeah, so, but you know, you got to overcome that. I mean, if you're a Harley owner, Harley only kind of a person, then you're going to really limit the kind of people you associate with. Now, if you get into the adventure groups, it doesn't matter. You could own a BMW GS or a little Himalayan like mine, or a KLR, or a T7. That's a Yamaha Tenere, or the Suzuki. People swear by those Suzuki DR650s. You know, it just doesn't matter. You can be on a KTM 390 or an 890. It just doesn't matter. So let's see. You also have the freedom of the open road too. The adventure riders have freedom of the open road, but sometimes the open road looks a little different. It might be a little squiggly road that leads up to a mountaintop somewhere. You know, if you're ever on a highway and you're looking up to a mountain and you think, well, that's a nice view from down here. I wonder what it looks like up there. Well, sometimes the only way up there is using an adventure bike. So that's just the sad reality. The other thing is about adventure riding is introducing this whole idea of camping. Now, you can go camping on a cruiser, but you know, again, you're going to be limited. If you've got a belt-driven bike, you're going to want to watch what roads you go down. You don't want to be on some gravel road where there's a chance you might catch a piece of gravel in your belt and just blow it up. So that's, again, adventure bikes, they're either chain driven or shaft driven. I don't think there are many belt driven adventure bikes. Okay, getting back to this idea of adventure camping. So yeah, you can go camping on a cruiser, you can go camping on any bike, and really that shouldn't limit you. If you want to go motorcycle camping, take it out there. But yeah, just you're going to have to be careful which kind of roads you go down, depending on the kind of bike you have. Now this Himalayan, I'd like to think that it'll go anywhere. It'll take you down any road, and you can go on the highway, you can go on a gravel road, you can go on a single track, whatever. It all depends on what you want to do and your capabilities. So, but the thing I like about camping is getting packed up. That's one of the fun things, is packing all your stuff up, planning your trip, sitting down on your computer, looking at Google or Gaia or whatever app you have to plan your trip. That part is just a blast to me. I look forward to every time. And being with your friends out there, having a campfire. One of my favorite things to do is cook steaks over a campfire. Steaks, corn on the cob, some mashed potatoes, or you name it. Pick whatever you like, and that campfire just makes all the difference in the world. All right, so maybe you've been a little disillusioned with the cruiser crowd. Maybe you've gone out there and you've bought the big expensive cruiser. You bought all the boots and the chaps and all the leathers and everything that goes with it. And you've even found a beanie helmet that is legal and it doesn't give you that big mushroom head look. So now you've got the look, you've got everything, and you're on the road and you start getting in mingling with the crowds, and you think, wow, I just don't connect with any of these people here. They're just so different. We're like light years away. And so then you think to yourself, wow, what have I done? What have I done? Well, if your bike's sitting in the garage and you're just not having fun anymore, I would say give the adventure people a try. I remember meeting this one guy. This was years and years ago. My son and I were both on cruisers, and he was on I think it was a BMW GS model, one of the mid-size models, maybe a 650 or an 850, one of those. And we actually, how do you like the bike? You know, it had a big fairing in front. We thought, wow, this is a different looking motorcycle. How do you like it? He says, I love it. And he says he used to have this. He had a Harley something or other. And I thought, okay, well, what changed your mind? He said, well, I just rode one. And you know, you just become a believer. You don't have to worry about head buffeting, because it just doesn't exist. There is no head buffeting. You got that fairing in front of you. You got a big gas tank. You just go, and if you don't mind the looks of them, at first adventure bikes are kind of ugly looking. Right? At least I thought so. But now I see them and I go, wow, they're just awesome. They're just awesome bikes. You can see what draws people. So, one other thing I want to talk about is, what if you experience and come across a motorcycle club? You're out on your bike by yourself, or maybe with a couple other guys, and you're on a cruise. Doesn't matter what kind of bike you're on, but you see in your rearview mirror a horde of bikes could just coming up all in one lane, and they're maybe going shoulder to shoulder, or you just don't know. But so what do? Well, I don't know what you do. I know what I would do. I would get over to the right. You know, it's all about respect. You show respect, you get respect. And when these guys are a big group riding together, that's the way they want to be. They want to be together, and they don't want anything in front of them or beside them. So I'll tell you a little story about a friend of mine who encountered a group like that, and he's a very capable rider. I mean, he'll take a bike as fast as they can go, and he'll go down any corner. And I think he'd be challenged to keep up with him if he was really giving it his best. So a group came up behind him, and he thought, well, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going the same direction. There's no harm. So they came upon him, and one of them rode up to his right side, and he was in the left lane all the way. And they stuck out their foot and just kicked him into the guardrail, the left guardrail, and he about wrecked. Well, that sent a message. So he just slowed down, let them all pass, and that was it. So I think the moral of that story is, if you see a group like that, just get over to the right, let them pass. Don't try to get into a pissing contest. It's just not going to work. Anyway, I hope I've made my point. If you're a cruiser rider and you like it, you like the group, more power to you. You know, I hope you have fun. It's a lot of fun being part of a group. You might notice that the style of bike you have, a lot depends on what kind of bike your friends have. your friends have cruisers, you're gonna probably want to get a cruiser. But if your friends have adventure bikes, then you know that could be it. But if you feel disillusioned, if you feel like you've gone down that road and it's just not what you thought it was going to be, I would recommend giving us adventure people a try. We're a good group of people. Lots of channels out there. There's Dork on the Road. He has got an excellent channel. There's Amanda Zitto. She's As the Magpie Flies, another excellent channel. And then Sterling Noren. He has a motorcycle travel channel. This guy's been doing motorcycle videos for probably as long as many of us have been alive. But he does an excellent job. He kind of sets the bar of what a motorcycle channel should be. Anyway, there's tons of them out there. Watch them, see if it's your cup of tea, and see if you'd like to give it a try. Hope you do, and if not, rubber side down.